Headed into this offseason, I was excited for next year. I was excited to see where LeBron was going to go. I was excited to see if Kawhi was going to get traded. I was excited to see if the Celtics were going to become championship contenders. There was a lot to look forward to, but now I feel like DeMarcus Cousins has just ruined everything. Last year, Charles Barkley famously said, "I have to get on TV and fake it for 7 months that it's not going to be the Warriors and the Cavs in the finals again." I can't wait to see what he says now, because if this current Warriors lineup stays healthy next season, they won't just make the finals, they'll walk through the playoffs and win another championship with ease. This starting lineup looks like something my 11-year-old self would have made in NBA Live 2002. You know, when I was at the age where I just took all of the best players and dominated everyone because for some reason that was fun to me. Now, that would bore me to death, and as an NBA fan watching Golden State next season, I have to say, I get that Boogie is his own man, that he can make his own choices, that he could whatever. I'm just honestly not that excited for next season anymore. Before we go deeper though, before we get into exactly why I'm not excited, I do want to say if you're new to this channel, make sure to subscribe for NBA basketball content all summer. Whenever there's a trade or signing like this, I'm making a video on it, so subscribe so you don't miss it. As for DeMarcus Cousins and the Warriors, let's get into this. I used to feel bad for DeMarcus Cousins. I used to say free Boogie. I used to think that DeMarcus was the victim of a very unfortunate situation, that he was one of the most talented players in the league, but was just cursed because he played for the Sacramento Kings. Again, I used to feel bad for him, but now I feel bad for Anthony Davis. Because if we rewind back to Kevin Durant's decision to play for the Warriors, you might remember me and a bunch of people saying that this was such a cop-out decision because the Thunder were talented enough to be up 3-1 on the Warriors in the playoffs. And that's really what bugs me most when it comes to these decisions. If you're on a roster that has real talent and you choose to go to a team that is so loaded that they won 73 games, you are a If you choose to leave a team that has the best big man in the league and arguably the second best player in the NBA to go to a team that just swept the NBA finals, you are a If you leave a star player that wore your jersey during the All-Star game as a symbol that he had your back to go to a team that everyone was already saying was one of the best the NBA has ever seen, you are, do I even have to say it again, a massive especially when that star player you're leaving, Anthony Davis, has done everything right since you were injured. Because after DeMarcus's injury, as we all know, AD absolutely torched the league and led the Pelicans to the 6th seed in the West. He then went on to dominate the Blazers in the first round, sweep them, and then lost in 5 games in the second round to, wouldn't you know it, the Golden State Warriors. With this season, AD proved that he alone was a good enough player to carry a team, and what's more, in interviews he continued to hype up DeMarcus every chance he got, because when he dominated the league after Cousins' injury, he was asked how things would be if DeMarcus was still playing. When he was asked that, AD made it clear that he thought he and Boogie had a chance to win championships together, saying, "We were just getting it. We were just figuring everything out. That's the tough part. We could have gone through the playoffs. No one could really stop us as bigs. We'd go to the finals." Anthony Davis is a man who has consistently played with a horrible roster. Night in and night out, he's tried to drag his overmatched teammates to wins. He is, without a doubt, one of the best basketball players in the world. He has been for the last few years, but he's only made the playoffs 2 times because of the players around him. Has he complained? No. Has he demanded a trade? No. Again, he has done everything right. And now, fresh off a season in which he proved he was good enough to be the best player on a championship team, fresh off a year where the Pelicans proved they could do some serious damage if DeMarcus came back, AD watched as Boogie turned his back on him and left in an even bigger cop-out situation than Kevin Durant's. I mean, at least KD had won the MVP before he went to the Warriors. At least he brought a team to the finals. At least he had the excuse that he didn't want to play with a ball-dominant dominant point guard anymore. DeMarcus Cousins, on the other hand, has earned nothing in the league so far. He's never been to the finals, he's never even been on a playoff team, and so you know what they say, if you can't beat them, join them. DeMarcus Cousins couldn't beat anybody, so he took a massive pay cut, joined them, and is now going to be carried to a championship. I will never respect this man again. I'm not sure how anyone can, because this is probably the single most decision in all of sports. And really, it does beg the question, why is this even allowed? Why would a player of Cousins' talent be allowed to take a contract that severely underpays him? This sets a horrible precedent for the rest of the league. We've already seen the rise of super teams in the last decade, and now, if top 20 players are going to take mid-level exception deals in their primes to chase championships, there are going to be a lot more examples of this type of nonsense in the years to come. And speaking of this nonsense, of course, who else but Draymond Green led the recruitment to get DeMarcus to sign with the Warriors. I've got to give it to him. If Draymond decides he wants to be a college coach when he retires, he'll probably be the first coach to ever sign the entire McDonald's All-American team. So congrats, Draymond. You really must have a way with words. But anyway, let's look at this Golden State roster, because in the last few years, the lack of a high-level center on both sides of the ball has always been their one flaw. I mean, if you can even call it that, because we've seen Durant step up as a rim protector, we've seen Draymond become one of the best defensive players in the league, but still, Golden State has not had a real center who they could dump the ball down low to on offense and can match up with elite NBA big men on defense. Now they have exactly that. And the worst part is, DeMarcus Cousins isn't just a good big man or even an all-star level talent. In his career so far, DeMarcus has proven that he is an elite level player. To show you what I mean, in his last 4 seasons between the ages of 24 and 27, Boogie has averaged 25.9 points, 11.9 rebounds, and 4.2 assists per game. Obviously, those are awesome numbers, but they're even more impressive than you might think, because throughout the course of NBA history, only 2 other players have averaged at least 25 points, 11 rebounds, and 4 assists between the ages of 23 and 27. Those other 2 players are Hall of Famers Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Elgin Baylor. And looking at DeMarcus's stats, the real number we need to focus on here is his passing, because that's what makes this trade so absolutely terrifying. Cousins is not a black hole on offense. He isn't someone like Dwight Howard who demands to post up at all times and is a horrible passer. No. Boogie is one of the best passing big men in the league, which is only going to make Golden State's offense that much more lethal. Last season, DeMarcus averaged a career-high 5.4 assists per game and was second in the entire NBA behind Nikola Jokic in assists per game among centers. So, when inserted into Golden State's lineup, Cousins will show that he has the basketball IQ and passing ability to find the 5,000 knockdown shooters the Warriors have on the court. Going even further, in the past when Golden State has gone big, they've done so with players like JaVale McGee, Festus Ezeli, Andrew Bogut, you know, traditional centers who can't really shoot. Now though, they have DeMarcus Cousins who can shoot. Last year, Boogie made 2.2 threes a game and shot over 35% from the three-point line, which means the Warriors no longer have to make a choice with their best lineup. They don't need to decide to go big and give up some court spacing in order to have a better rebounding team on the floor. They don't have to make the decision to go small with an insane shooting lineup that sacrifices rebounding and rim protection. No. Now they have DeMarcus Cousins, who is the perfect example of the ideal modern-day center. Boogie can do it all, which means Golden State is now actually going to have a 5-man lineup of Curry, Clay, Durant, Draymond, and DeMarcus. Those are 2 MVPs with 3 other top 20 players in the NBA. Those are 5 guys who are going to remind us again and again next year that the NBA championship is already decided. If everyone stays healthy, there's no chance this team is going to lose. news, and that maybe Charles Barkley was right. Maybe NBA players have gotten too soft, and maybe the 90s were a better era of basketball. Because at least in the 90s and in the 80s and in every decade before that, we did not have massive cop-out moves like this. So congrats to DeMarcus, congrats Draymond, congrats everyone on Golden State. You've beaten the system, you've created an absolute super team. Again, if you stay healthy, you're going to win the championship. Before I finish talking about this though, I do want to say, if you are an OG Golden State Warriors fan, I actually kind of feel bad for you at this point. The hate put on Golden State in the last few years has been tremendous, and now it's gonna get a whole lot worse. So if you are a true fan and you've been a fan for a while, I just want to say, I mean, if I were you, I'd ignore these type of videos. I would just enjoy the championships. For the rest of us, for the fans of the other 29 teams in the NBA, I think we can all agree this sucks.